Welcome, one and all, back to the Morning Skate Saturday special, the show that never quits delivering all the best takes. Matt, DJ here Saturday. Honestly, I'm going to say it. I kind of love this slate. Like, the more I looked at the games, I was like, these are fun games. These are good, fun games. Good, clean, fun games. Matt, how do you feel this beautiful and wondrous winter Saturday?
There are 15 games. That is a lot of games. There are 4 slates that I will be playing. Probably won't play the late slate because I think I will be in the air. But um, yeah, it's going to be a good day. I hope. I, I don't really have much else to say though. I did all the research and stuff last night to put together the sheet and stuff that I'll share. I gotta say, there's not much new information, at least that we had as of last night. So, I don't love that. I love when a slate is a disaster because, like, if I'm struggling with it, then what are these idiots that are spending 99% of their time on basketball doing? Like that sort of thing is what intrigues me. But hey, at the end of the day, it's another day we get to play God's game of NHL DFS. So, and we get to bet on the NHL too. So, looking forward to digging into literally 30 teams over the next God knows how long.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be probably not the shortest show of all time. Yep, we got all the games in the world. I honestly I took a couple looks at this first game and I'm just sort of like, you know what? I'm not ruining my day on the first game of the slate. I'm gonna ruin it on the second. You know what I mean? Like I'm not betting anything in this game. Like, I don't know. I don't know if you saw anything that you're like, oh, that clearly stands out. Like I was like, oh, Jack Hughes, this, that, the other thing, and I'm like, you know what? No, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, Steph
Jack Hughes
Mason's
has the most
back.
shot attempts per. Yeah, Nason's back. Yeah,
Um,
I'd rather just focus on the other game.
I
So
mean,
I don't think I'm going to have anything for the first game. But if there's any showdown notes you want to mention, I guess was where I was
yeah, I
going with this.
mean, I mean, Mitchkov is just he's back to what we were hoping. I think
Yeah.
to see from him. I'm gonna take over screen sharing from you.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Do I need? Sorry, I think I.
I think I can just do it. All right.
Okay, fine. Sorry, try to help.
Yeah, yeah. So the obviously these are showdown prices, but you see Mitchkov, 11.2 expected fantasy points per game over his last 10. I mean, he's back to doing kind of what we were hoping for. There's not a ton of results to show for it yet, but I think with Couturier and Farabee, Farabee's the minimum salary. Like I just think it's a really interesting. It's a very interesting showdown slate, and I think you can easily get away with Mitchkov. 4+ shots is plus 700, for example. I think the upside is there for him.
All
So
right.
that's the exact sort of thing that I want to
Fine, you've convinced
capitalize
me.
on when he's doing
I'm
things
not.
and
I'm
actually
not going to
contributing
parlay
to
it.
the team.
Yep. I'm not going to parlay it, but yeah, honestly, I do think that like lately I've been okay. So let me start here. As we go through these sheets and we go through all these games, we go, last 10 games, and it's like, oh, okay, this team looks like. In reality, like the game script's going to go one way or another. Oftentimes,
Mhm.
if a game is bad on paper, and like of course, like you're going to look at Philly, it's not an
Yes.
incredibly favorable matchup. It's not an incredibly
It's
high pace. It's not. But if Philly gets down, well, Michkov's going to see, I think, more ice time as long as he doesn't directly contribute to them getting down by making a mistake. Like he's shooting again, and that's really kind of the thing that the sports books will not factor in because they think like this is not a good game. It's a 5.5, and like I think they are whatever they're using is factoring in pace a decent bit because I've noticed the Lions have really kind of shifted that way. So yeah, I think that's the right way of doing things.
yeah.
Just looking at
All
whatever you want to look at, but I like Michkov. I might bet him. We'll see for a point too. I don't want to spend forever on this game, but he's definitely the angle here. Oh God,
I do
two
not know
points
if
for
his point
700.
prop's listed. His shot prop wasn't listed last
It
night,
is.
so I was pleasantly surprised to see it listed this morning.
Yeah, a lot of the rookies just randomly won't show up on a slate, and Michkov's one of them that like you just Michkov. Oh my, they're gonna jump into a fire.
No, hey,
Yeah,
the
they just
the the the
Mitch.
guy on why can't I think of the Comcast announcer calls him Michkov, so maybe you're right. Maybe that's what he prefers.
Yeah, maybe I'm right. So I think let me just quickly. If you bet every single point prop, $10 would pay 638 potential back on 2, 3, 4, 5 shots. 2 shots minus 130. I mean,
Yeah, no,
maybe
that's
I
very good.
was just
He's yeah. I do. I don't know if you want to keep talking about Mitchkov or not, but JT here. I think this is an interesting thing because it was Thursday night, right? That you had the Eklund Trocheck, that whole thing, right?
Mhm.
So we discussed this a lot in the Discord.
Well, yeah, I'll let you go. But let you go
Okay,
first. Then
so what I'm curious about JT here is what book you did this on, because for example, DraftKings. So I guess to set the scene, DJ had this big parlay, and maybe this was something you tailed, and maybe something else. But Eklund to get a point along with Celebrini, I think was the line. Maybe it was also Toffoli, whatever. And that was part of this big parlay that was on track to hit if Vinny Trocheck did anything. However, it turns out that they graded the Eklund point as a point, even though he clearly never touches the puck. I mean, it is clear as day. I have no clue how they gave this a point in the first place. However, the DraftKings house rules say once the game is graded, it's not being redone. I've complained about this before because shot props are inevitably changed after the fact, so on and so on. And so I go, oh, well, I have 3 shots. Why did I lose this 3+ bet? Well, they say, well, the house rules, blah, 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 because they grade it 2 minutes after the game ends when clearly that's not how the NHL works. So, yeah, it looks like you were on Bet365, which honestly, I do think that is a better book to be on. Like, they're going to get more things right in the long run. Obviously, it sucks when, it's your final piece and you had it right when it clearly wasn't right. Like that sucks. But I do want to say that, like, I think that house rule that waits an extra 15 minutes is actually going to be better for your mental health in the long run. So, yes, we will bounce back. But I did want to address that because I didn't have anything riding on it personally. So I was just sort of watching it as like this, do I want to watch a car accident take place? Of course I do. Like, it's just, you can't look away. And I thought they were going to pull the money, pull the win off of VK. And then I realized, oh, wait, no, their house rules say if that happens, you have a clear right to go, bitch at them. So I don't know, whatever. We can move on. Clearly, we're going to have another opportunity to get Eklund right again. Well, maybe not clearly. We'll see what Moinesgate brings for San Jose. But yeah, thank you for hanging out, JT. And Tom, I'm not even going to talk about this game. How dirty is Nashville, Minnesota game going to get? It's gross. All right. Do you want to move on to the rest of the early slate here, and we can fire through those pretty quickly?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and yeah. I mean, it's I the only thing I'll say about everything with DraftKings, it was the way Bet 365 had it, and people complained a lot. And I do most of the time you're going to be negatively impacted. And this is just a rare scenario where we actually get the W and we actually get to keep it. So on DraftKings Sportsbook, yeah, the 6-leg full thing hit. And then of course the pro check didn't hit, but I still made out like a bandit on the night. Of course, it would have been a lot more if he did. I do think it's just one of those things where enough people complained to DraftKings. You took money back because that aversion to loss is so much stronger than the alternative. So sometimes you reap what you reward. The reap what you sow or whatever. But it did actually benefit us in this scenario. But yeah, it's a really interesting conversation. I think that like the fact that books aren't universal across the board with that shit is kind of crazy to me. But we're still kind of in the Wild West, although the Wild West is becoming pretty tamed. We can move on. Yeah, I just bet all the Michkov stuff. I agree. I'm gonna look for a goal quick and move on past the showdown slate. But yeah, he's a smash. Right. I mean, that's him, Couturier, and Farabee. I love that line together, and he's kind of the catalyst of shooting now, which was not the was on other better lines. It was like I don't know, but
yeah,
5.4 attempts in the last 10 and last 5. It's loading. What are you gonna say?
No, I was going to look that up, his actual shot rate numbers, but I think it's more like the offensive involvement for me that I'm liking, and obviously shots are going to come with that, but for a player who's going to be magnetized to the puck like Michkov is, I honestly don't care a ton about whether he's firing at this exact moment or not, because like we're talking about, those shot ladders like you did with Tage, like, with Mitchkov. I've talked about it in the Discord a good bit. And so when I'm tracking, my stuff, I don't really like thinking about like medians and like, 50% or 53% to hit this number. That doesn't really interest me. But like getting, information, getting like just straight up upside off of it, like I said, 4+ shots from Mitchkov is plus 700. I will take 7-1 odds that that he gets 4 shots on goal. So it's just because I believe in the
Do you
player, I
have
believe in the role.
hold on.
Sorry, what?
You could see this on you could see on Hockey Viz like where he's shooting from, right? Am I losing my mind?
You could. You can.
You might need to log in.
Here. Why don't?
Yeah,
Why don't
he's getting I just realized I wasn't logged in, and I mean I know the whole thing now with Twitter. Okay, now it's working.
You can do the power play if you want to. You could do that, but I'm going to do the more native thing, and I'm going to go to his name. Obviously, you need to be a subscriber to Hockey Viz for this, but you can go down to teams, and then you can see for the season all of his shots. This doesn't let you filter by time, which is a little like, last 20 days or whatever. That would be kind of interesting, I think. But you can see, I don't think where I'm not really sure what you were looking to do with this, but you can see where he's shooting from. He's going to be slanted on his off wing for the most part on the power play, and then obviously a bit more on the strong side at 5-on-5. But anyway,
yeah. I just think like he's an incredibly creative player, and incredibly creative players in the vacuum of a proper game script can certainly push open. We saw it with Tage yesterday. They get down and he was already had like 3 or 4 early. We got kind of lucky, and then it was just like, well, he's shooting now. Like they're going to find an effort. So we'll continue to go on, and we'll continue to try to get you everything we can. We can move past the first game, and
12 minutes in,
and I will. Yeah,
no.
I really appreciate everybody. Actually everybody. JT specifically, just giving me my ego boost that I truly needed to say. You've been betting great lately. I needed to hear that. So thank you. Let's move on.
I hate it when DJ has confidence. All right. Boston and Ottawa is next up. That is a 3:00 start. By the way, New Jersey, Philly, if you're listening to this on Rewind, it's a 12:30 start. So, make sure you're rushing to the polls to get your Bitchkovs in if you want it. Boston, Ottawa is a 3:00 start. We've talked about this on both the Tuesday and Thursday show, I believe, but Boston has been getting very, very good goaltending from Jeremy Swayman lately. I'm not sure if we have a confirmed starter yet out of them, but basically, as he's been better, the team has just fallen apart defensively, which is very funny. But it also sort of, I'm not going to say proves, but it's kind of supports the argument that like a lot of expected goals is like rebounds and like, things that if the first shot is going in, you can't really get an expected goal because the goal's already been scored. So like, I think there could be some element of that, or if the goaltending is really good, you're just going to have more opportunities because, the play's not ending on a goal. So I'm not saying that's what's happening here. Boston clearly has not been good defensively all year, but it might not be as dramatic as this sheet here is showing. Clearly the matchup for Boston, though, not very good. They found a goalie, with Ullmark on the shelf. Merrilainen has come in and been very, very strong for them. But getting to some player-specific stuff, I guess we would look more toward the Ottawa side of the house. Nothing new in Boston. This Lettieri sticking on the second line, but he's not a player you're going to bet on or anything. And I don't think there's much of anything that we are looking to capitalize on. Maybe Mason Lohrei, if you find something there with him. He kind of led the team in ice time. Trying to remember last game's game script, but that was a little surprising to me. He's kind of a third
overtime and heartbreak feel against Washington.
No, for Boston it was Tampa,
Boston.
Yeah. So anyway,
you're right.
Lohrai's interesting
because I just don't like Boston.
Yeah. We have some decent track record of him being fine. Offensively, not a great shooter, but he's gonna shoot, league average-ish for a defenseman. He's near the minimum and is a power play one defenseman. So I don't think there's any point props on him. You can check that out in a minute. But getting to Ottawa, it's still the Brady show. We talked about his results not being there. Maybe that's to be expected. Maybe it's going to reverse for him. But the main player I want to talk about is Jake Sanderson, because with no Thomas Chabot, he just lives on the ice surface. It was a 0-0 game against Washington, but he played 27 minutes through overtime. He played 31 in the game that Chabot got hurt. So, they're just going to absolutely ride him for minutes. I don't think his DFS price is that appealing, though on a 2-game slate, anything goes. But I do think his lines are just not accounting for the extra boost and roll that he's going to have. And also, he's going to spend a lot of time on the ice with Brady, Norris, and Batherson. So I do like that as a unit as well. So, DJ, any thoughts here?
Yeah. So 3 things. 1, Swayman expected. The coach said he's leading Swayman yesterday. Lowry is offered now. I don't think I'd see plus 140 as a straight bet, but if you put it in the same game parlay portal, it's plus 125. It's as if they're just like, yeah, we know what you're trying to do here. But 40 for Lowry to get a point. If you just straight bet it, which I would probably just suggest at this point. Ottawa's very good defensively. Boston's, they're a little bit leaky defensively, but it's been a little bit game script dependent. And like you're saying with this Tampa game, they were up 6-2. They did kind of beat them pretty good. Tampa had their opportunities and Swayman shut the door. Even in that scenario, Lowry played a ton of minutes. So if you go the other way and you say actually Ottawa's pretty good, and maybe the sports books, I believe they have this as I think it's a pick 'em, but I got to scroll back up now. But regardless, it's like I think you could pretty easily squint here and say, yeah, Boston is actually plus 114. Maybe they don't get the lead. Lowry more minutes. I like that angle. I definitely think on the Ottawa side of the house, if you're going to be doing anything, probably including Jake Sanderson, minus 110 for a point, I believe is the line. It's a little bit meh. It's fine, probably. But I do think his rates are good enough to consider. If you get good plus money on 3, I think you're probably fine. Last 5 games, no one stands out a metric ton, but Sanderson's right around that 5-shot on goal or 5-shot attempt mark. So it's not great, but role keeps increasing. Game script, like we're saying, has continued to kind of give opportunities to opposing teams to shoot. I don't know. I still think I like Lowry plus 140.
Yeah, and anytime you get a power play one defenseman who has some offensive chops or plus 800 to score a goal, it's obviously not a guarantee, but I feel like there's some value there because that's just not taking into account his power play job.
Going over to puck luck, Brady for over 3.5 seems to be a favorite that or a bet that they like. That's liked minus 105. They're down quite a bit, but they're not bad. Like he's the second in the game for over the last 5, and you go to the last 10, it gets a little bit higher. You go to the season, it gets higher. So it's like, he's been bad as of late comparatively to just how electric he was. But I don't really have a problem with betting over half. Like we're saying, but it's not good defensively, and again, like maybe the elephant in the room. There's no Charlie McAvoy. Like he isn't even kind of proven to be the defenseman in the world anymore. But that means Lowry, Peak, with Wotherspoon, Carlo, Zadorov, and whoever the heck M. Callahan is. That's the defense. Like that's it. So keep Brady from shooting. Good luck.
All right. Next game. What's up, Tim? What's up, Diego? Thanks for hanging out with us here. Dallas, Colorado. Let's see what the matchups here look like. This is a 4:00 start. Colorado has been very, very poor lately. Their power play has struggled. Their 5-on-5 offense has struggled. McKinnon has largely gotten there himself. So, from a betting standpoint, I'm not sure how much this matters, but I am pretty interested in Dallas on that side of things. I think Colorado's really going through it right now. What Colorado did though in practice on Friday was they elevated Ross Colton to the top line. So that's going to be of particular interest. I do not know what the power play one's going to look like. However, I'm just guessing if they're moving Colton to the top line, he will also replace one of Lehkonen or Druin on the top power play. That could be completely wrong though, so don't get out over your skis on Ross Colton. But we do know that when he was alongside Mack and Rantanen earlier in the season, he was absolutely lethal. So I think there's a decent amount there to like, even without a power play one job. On the Dallas side, J-Rob continues to produce. He's just literally looked night and day from where he was to begin the season. He had some sort of foot procedure to begin the year, so like, that very well could be related. That just took him some time to get fully healthy. Of course, that power play is not correct. But in any case, I think the main person to build around here would be Jason Robertson. No news on Rupe Hintz. And by the way, Thomas Chabot is technically questionable. I don't know what his status is. We have no update on Chabot either. But for Dallas, keep an eye on Rupe Hintz. Of course, if he comes back, this will all get switched up. But if Rupe's out, the biggest beneficiary is Logan Stankoven, who will remain in the top 6. That's sort of about all you can expect to change. I like the Donov, Johnston, Robertson better than the second line, but of course that second line has been, equally productive as well as of late. So, DJ, thoughts on this one?
Really the main notes. Colorado covered pretty well. Last game it was Makar, Drouin, McKinnon, and Rantanen on that power play one. I kind of feel like maybe there's just kind of been this effort all along. If I'm not going to go back and figure it all out, but wherever McKinnon is at 5-5, they kind of keep him with his line mates on the power play as much as possible. It kind of feels like that thread continues. So I kind of like that look at Ross Colton to consider. So can you go back to Colorado? Just want to see. Regardless of like you're saying, Ross Colton being on the top power play or not, him for a point seems like kind of the standout here. Plus 155. I'm probably jamming that right now. I think you could reasonably parlay that and say that it's such a good value that it doesn't matter. I guess the concern in general would be, is Colorado going to stick to anything if anything goes wrong? And the answer is probably not. That like we're saying, like, oh, this is the change they made because they made the change because they couldn't do anything. And then or like they were getting, the doors were blown off by Edmonton. They lost 4-3. Expected goals were 4-1.9, and
they got
Edmonton,
up. They got up thanks to McKinnon going absolutely apeshit for 2 shifts. Basically, he scored 2 goals on them that were like, oh, that's Nathan McKinnon. Like, he's just going to win this hockey game. And then they just packed their bags to win home. Edmonton was all over them for the rest of the night. But however, the Ross Colton line that you mentioned is an absolute windmill alpha jam. I actually bet it last night and it hasn't moved, believe it or not. Even though we've had this information freely available for however long, Ross Colton still remains plus 155. That is one of the best bets you're going to find on this entire slate, if not the best.
Sorry, I lost you for like 2 seconds, and I'm sure you said a lot.
Your internet. Your internet's trash right now.
Normal stuff. No, what I was going to say is that it seems like not only did they run it in practice, like it seems even more confirmed that this is happening. So I'm making this a 2 unit. I'm putting $50 on it for the point plus 155. That's what you got it at, you said?
Yes, that is what I got it at last night.
What about oh my god, dude, I texted Matt about 12:50 at night saying this is the thumbnail, and he didn't answer, and I was like, oh, probably asleep. You want to guess, anyone in the chat, what time Matt texted me back saying that he had finished these sheets that he put together? Because anyone want to take a guess? I'm gonna reveal it in about 8 seconds here. While I pull it up, because I was just in awe of this man's work and effort to not sleep. 3 a.m. is unbelievably close. 2:59 on the dot. 2:59 a.m. He's like, yep, finish the sheets. Looks good. I'm like, what are you doing? Go to bed. All right, Matt, but one more thing here, and then we can move on, because I don't really think there's anything else even like in the hemisphere. Would you split up
Yeah.
I mean, did you bet the plus 800 for 2 points for Colton, or are you thinking that's kind of like, oh
Yeah.
boy?
I love that angle. Like the most of it's on the point, just a single point, but I did put like a third of what I bet on 2 points. I put a little bit on a goal as well, plus 350.
Oh
It's just one of those things where like,
yeah,
I actually is shots offered yet? I don't know if shots are offered.
let me check again.
No, it's not. Okay.
I didn't think so.
So
No,
like it's just one of those
I'm
things where
checking
we clearly have an
FanDuel.
information advantage because he's been playing on second line, third line, on the wing. I think again, there's a chance he plays power play one. It's not confirmed, but it seems at least 50-50 that he's on the power play one. So like, I'm happy to take a stab at those odds. All right.
Just
I actually went to bed before Runa. I think that started at like 4 or 5, but I was paying attention to other stuff going on. But no, I was literally working on the sheet. I mean, it's 15 games of information. It took me an hour and a half, 2 hours. Like this is the sort of stuff you get, and it's why I'm dialed in. It's why I'm trying to track all my stuff in the Discord, and like I keep this ridiculous tracker of everything that I do from a gambling perspective since Christmas. I'm trying to be more locked in with my process and sort of what it leads to, because I've always said the podcast, I do it not because like I'm a charitable individual who just loves you so much, loves all of you so much. I do it because I think it makes me a better player, and I have not had the NHL results to show for it for the last few years. So, it's kind of a concerted effort on my part to improve and be better. And this is certainly a part of it. It helps me. Yep.
I hate to cut you off. I want you to take a guess at what FanDuel is offering Ross Colton for shots on goal. What is just line is today in general? Like they have one line that's just like, this is the Ross Colton line for shots on goal. I want you to start with what you think that number is. 122.
Wow. Yeah. So I guess it's a FanDuel day. I will not figure out how to log in there, but you all have fun.
So you can only bet 2 or 3. Yeah, nothing else offered. So 2, you can't parlay them together. Obviously, Jesus freaking Christ! Can I just bet? Oh my! The FanDuel is truly one of the worst apps ever created. Like I don't understand how they make something so unbelievably difficult to use. Okay,
we need to get out of the early window. So final game at 6:00, Anaheim at Florida. As one might expect, Florida looks pretty good in this spot, and Anaheim not so much. We are coming off of a Mason McTavish night, so I might just call it there and just cut my walk away with a bit of a win on McTavish. He had 6 shots on goal. I've been laddering him with a regularity over the last few weeks. He's now alongside Carlson and Killorn, which technically, is better because both those guys will defer. But I'm not sure that line's any better than what Cutter, McTavish, and Fabry were. So in this matchup, I'm pretty much just ignoring it. Keep an eye on what Anaheim does. They played pretty well against Tampa, so like I don't think they'll move out Zellweger or whatever, but clearly there's not a ton here of interest unless you're playing Showdown. For Florida, we don't know what their lines are. They got pummeled by Detroit. I kind of expect this to change. However, they didn't really mix things up too much during the game, so maybe they stick with it one more go. With Reinhart, Barkov, Kachuk, Lusterine, Bennett, Samoskevich, Boqvist, Lindell, Verhaeghe. I think Verhaeghe's the interesting guy here. He's just gotten no results to show for it. I'm going to guess his lines have crept down over the past little stretch as a result of that. When you consider the matchup, when you consider the possibility that he moves up to play with either Barkov or Kachuk, on the first or second line, I do think he's an interesting bet. Over 2.5 shots is, I believe, minus 150. So that's an angle that I think I like taking here in this game. Thoughts on Anaheim, Florida?
Obviously, it stands out as an absolutely unbelievable matchup for Florida. No one's going to be surprised. I thought, do you just take a good look here and just say, who cares? Just bet all 3, Barkov, Reinhart, and the Chuck for 2 points, and say, who cares about anybody or anything? They're all plus 170. They have not had a point, I think, any of them in 3 games, if I recall correctly. They've been bad. I mean, it's kind of funny. It's like, what is the problem? I don't know. They have not been good. They're all together. I think you could click the buttons. They're allowed to. No one's going to stop you. But to me, it kind of feels unnecessary. I think if anything, I'm looking at Reinhardt for shots. If I was going to do the thing here, he's what, 2.5 minus 140. I think that's pretty good. He's shooting quite a bit. Both of these guys are, and for everything Matt the Chuck is, he really profiles, and then has just been throughout his career a better setup player than he has been a prolific rate shooter. I really think this is kind of like wheels up for Reinhardt more than anything. The results haven't been unbelievable in the last 10. They haven't been unbelievable in the last 5. But in the past couple games, and they've only had this line together for, I believe it's been 3 or 4 games, those numbers have gone up even more and more and more. Like as this line has kind of continued to stick. So
Okay.
I'm leaning Reinhardt shots here if I was leaving anything. And as far as
confirmation.
DFS is concerned, yeah. Oh, sorry. Go.
Confirmation this morning: Kachuk, Barkov, Reinhardt, Lusterine, Bennett, Samoskevich for Higgy, Lundell, Boakfist. So there you have it. Still no Ekblad, so Nate Schmidt, blah blah blah. But he sucks, and DFS you shouldn't play him anyway, even in Showdown. Just don't do it. All right, what were you saying?
No, I'm just saying that, like, if you just take the past games where they've been, it doesn't matter. No, I know what I was saying. I was saying that if you're playing a Showdown slate, I honestly would just go the other direction here and just play Anaheim and whoever's in that.
Bold.
And like, the thing is, I'm probably not going to do it because the biggest issue here is Cronin is the largest of donkeys, and I'm just going to bash my head against the wall as I could look through the game logs. So I'm just not going to play this game or slate or whatever.
All right.
So, but I would be brave. I'd rather be brave than a coward.
Time for a quick intermission as we plug in the main slate to the sheet here.
Yeah, I'm just posting. I'm trying to post bets as I go along. So if anyone is, I'm sharing some of these on Twitter. If you're like, why are you on your phone so much? I had a couple people mention like, oh, like, if you could post them as you go, that'd be great or whatever. And I was like, that's not that typical. So Ross Colton bets are up. Michkov bets are up. I bet the Lori thing. Put it up on the old air. So yeah, if anyone also just, ever has questions, DM me stuff too. It's fine. Anything else?
Nick here. Will there be a day when Florida gives the reins to Forsling on the power play? And honestly, I think the answer is just going to be no. I'm very surprised by that, but I would think at this point, like, if Nate Schmidt's your best option, you don't have a best option. And so I think Maurice just wants to use Forsling in more of that shutdown role. So that not tire him out for 5-on-5 play, I guess. I mean, this time a year ago, Paul Maurice was one of the biggest donkeys in the NHL. Certainly 2 years ago he was. And because he won a cup and said funny things, now he's unassailable. So, like, whatever. I don't particularly like the guy. But yeah, it seems like he's just going to play subpar defenseman on the power play instead of, Forsling or Boakfist or whatever. Good Lord. Tom went 10 miles on his bike before he hit the main slate. Yep, you are literally going to die. Have fun. We will talk to you by the time Australian Open starts at 7 p.m. All right, Toronto, Montreal's next up, of course, on the main slate. Of relevance, no John Tavares. He's week to week. Max Domi slid up between Nylander and Bobby McMahon. We didn't see a ton of power play time from them, I believe, but when we did see it, it was a 5-forward unit with Bobby McMahon as sort of the fifth power play one guy. I'm not sure that entices me to like go bet Bobby McMahon stuff. I looked and I think his lines were a little bit weak for what I was hoping for, but it's at least noteworthy that 5 forwards, Bobby McMahon, like there's an angle there if you want to take it. I kind of respect this Montreal team, which we've been over on the Morning Skate pod for the last week or so, that I'm just sort of not targeting them. But DJ, thoughts on Toronto?
Yeah, I mean, Toronto's probably been the team that I feel like every slate I'm like, well, there's no way I'm going to not, take something on Toronto, and the concentration of minutes and the 5 forward power play. And it's so hard to click on some of these players in the betting perspective. I kind of find it almost more interesting in daily fantasy to play like Nylander, Domi, McMahon, just trying to get away from, again, what I want to attack Montreal and continue to, because the public perception is that they're fixed and they're good and they're just getting this world beating team now. And yeah, they beat Dallas 3-1 in Dallas, and then it's all rainbows and unicorns and everyone's having a good time. And Suzuki is top center in the NHL, and they're actually just the best team, and that no one should even think about it for 2 seconds that maybe this team is going to regress back to, at least, I'm not going to say they're going to regress all the way back to being a bottom feeder, but like to a level of not great, like just not fantastic. And on the other side of the coin, Toronto in a very competitive game against New Jersey, a game that they massively outplayed them. Let me just double check those. And massively outplayed them might be strong. Like I was watching the game, it looked like they were outplaying them quite a bit later on in the game, but massively might be an overstatement. They played Marner, Nyes, Matthews, Nylander, Domi, and McMahon all 20 minutes plus. All 4 of them. Oh my God, 4. Jesus. 6 of them. All 6 of those forwards, 20 minutes plus. Just like, it seems like that's the better angle here, is just saying, okay, yep, power play. Not power play. Oh my God. Can I speak regular English? Daily fantasy goodness. Daily fantasy. People are not going to be clicking on Toronto because they actually believe this is fixed. And the sports books are almost following suit. It's a 5.5 over under in a Toronto Montreal game. Like, that just doesn't seem right to me. I'm not saying that this is the best game in the world on paper, but it's pretty good. Nylander for 2.5 over is minus 145. I mean, who's shooting on this team? Like, I think he could. McMahon plus 145. You go to 2 shots minus 180. Like, his rates have always been pretty good when the rolls increase. He's playing 20 minutes now. It's like I'm kind of taking a pretty good look here at like how I want to attack this. I don't know in betting. I think it's just Nylander if I'm going to do it, but I think this is one of my more favorite stacks in daily fantasy.
All right. The other side of the matchup, I don't think I'm going much here either. If I had to pick one, I think it would be Mike Matheson shots. Since he's been playing with Lane Hudson, his shot rate has been quite solid. He's I just had it up. He's minus 155, I think, for 2. And so yeah, minus 155 for 2 shots, plus 195 for 3 shots. I kind of like that angle. However, if you want the angle of Pizzetta being on line 4 means that everyone just plays more minutes in the forward group. Yeah, so line 8,
he played like
off field,
4 minutes last game.
Yeah. That's all fine with me. But nothing that I'm overly excited about in this game environment.
Yeah.
Detroit.
OEL. Just a quick any thought? Just like as a I feel like every slate I mean to mention him as a punt, and I played him last slate, and I think he hit the shots bonus. If I recall correctly.
Yeah,
I was just like, dang,
plus
like,
10 to get a point too. Like I don't know.
He hit five shots.
Yeah,
7
I liked him better when he was playing with Tanev. Like, I think part of the reason his recent 10 looks decent.
Oh yeah, McCabe,
a few of those
back, right?
Yeah, a few of those were when he was paired with Tanev, but whatever. Not a matchup that I'm getting unnecessary about. Detroit and Tampa. Obviously, what?
Oh no, it's just you and the public are just like, oh, I can't possibly target Montreal anymore. But it's fine. Let's get on. Let's go on to Steve Yzerman Bowl. Come on, let's keep it moving.
All right.
We're gonna kill one of our listeners on the bike. We got to keep going.
Yes, we don't want to be responsible for that. Detroit, looks pretty dismal by expecteds, of course. Actually, Tampa's been allowing some goals lately, so take that for whatever it's worth. Also, this does not include power play, so stand down, people. The Detroit power play is otherworldly right now, so like that's fine. And then Tampa doesn't look great either, and there's a lot of nonsense in the Tampa side of the house. So let's do Detroit first. No changes expected to the setup. Berggren and Casper switch on and off the power play too. So whatever, you're just flipping coins on who gets that secondary run. But there's never power play 2 time because the first unit just scores every time anyway. Kane, DeBrincat, Larkin, Raymond, Sider, they all look really good because the power play has been so dynamic. It's not just goals. They're getting a bunch of shots off. They're scoring more than they should, but there's still like genuine improvement there. So it's interesting at the very least. Tampa at home, maybe not a team you want to target too much, but they are kind of fucking around, and we'll see if they find out tonight. Their power play 1 with Victor Hedman is Kucherov, Hagel, Cirelli, and Paul. Point Gensel, Kucherov play with Radish and Mitchell Chafee as that power play. So like I don't know. I guess they're still punishing Braden Point for being bad, but also missing a meeting. Whatever. Nothing I'm interested in for fantasy here. Do you see anything on the betting front that intrigues you in this game?
Honestly, not. I mean, you go back to that Detroit game. They score against Florida. They scored 3 power play goals. Good for them. I think 1 at 5-on-5, 1 was an empty netter, if I recall correctly. And it's just like 1.6 expected to 4.6. They tread water as much as possible. They're getting absolutely bailed out by a power play, and I just have no interest in them at all. The prices have continued to come up because they are actually producing. Like that is the results are the results. How these results are coming together, I don't trust to continue. And as all of the prices kind of across the board have continued to rise for these, at least the point side of the house for these Red Wings, more like, I mean, it's not crazy still. I'm just going to fade. I think it's just unnecessary. But on the Tampa side, like I just continue to look at Hagel for anything. He mainly because he does it, and like the power play role, as we just kind of alluded to, is sticking and clearly maybe even magnifying. But at 5-on-5, he's always been one of the better players at producing offense. Well, always, but the past couple years, whatever. Minus 130 for 3 shots. I'm just going to do it every night until told otherwise. He's averaging over the last 5 games. I have it up right here. 8.8 attempts per game.
Pretty good.
And now he's getting a bigger power play role. By the way, 8.8 in the last 5, same as Victor Hedman, just getting way more of those on net, unsurprisingly. Last 10, 6.6, 62% of those on net. Like he's shooting a ton and getting a ton on net because of how good of a player he is at producing his own space. Like you watch him play, he finds a way to make space for himself to shoot. And that is a pretty, not incredibly, like, I mean, the rarest thing in the world. The good part is when those players that do that continue to shoot. And he does. Like McDavid does that and passes a lot. He's shooting because Cirelli and Paul are not finishers, and he is. So I'm going to continue to bet him. I think he's my favorite and really only bet in this game that I'm like, oh, that's obviously a standout. Minus 130, Hagel over 2.5. You can sign me up.
I do like that. Final note here on the Tampa side. Eric Chernak is projected to miss this game, so that makes the matchup better for Detroit. And so if you really like, I think Kane DeBrincat are genuinely interesting for a combined 11K in daily fantasy. It's not going to hit every time, but it's been pretty productive. And if they hit, they can truly separate at those price tags. So I am a little interested there. Let's move on to Columbus and the Rangers. The Rangers return home after a surprisingly successful road trip. Now, surprisingly, we've been telling you this Rangers team's actually been playing pretty well under the surface and just not getting results. Well, they're finally getting the results now. They're largely healthy with Chris Kreider back, and they get to play Columbus, who takes the road. And Columbus on the road is not Columbus at home. So a lot to like here, I think, on the Rangers side. Columbus, you pretty much know the drill by now. Nothing here stands out to me as useful. This top line is going to run you 19.3K now on the road at the Rangers. I feel like he gets more ownership than it should, as does Zach Werenski at 9,700. Just absolutely astonishing production from him. On the Rangers, we saw Kreider and Lafreniere split power play time last game. I take that to mean that Chris Kreider is just going to be installed back on the top power play. We also saw Kreider get some shifts in place of Will Cooley. I'm not going as far to project that because I think I think we would have seen a bit more certainty, or we will see a bit more certainty prior to puck drop if that happens. But of course, if that does, Craters have been ahead for 9K against Columbus at home with power play one jobs is just it's incredible. Like it's really something that I cannot wait to lose money on. But of course, the stars of the show, Panarin, Trocheck, Lafreniere. DJ, thoughts on this game?
Yeah, we talked about my Trocheck beef, but as we can see by the numbers, he has been fantastic. Like, and in that game, I mean, I think he had at least two grade A opportunities. Didn't convert, but that's going to happen. I mean, it's the NHL and the goalies are good. I could easily go back to that line because people, again, I think there's something about teams that are bad that are playing much better than expected that drives people a little bit crazy. Like, yes, Columbus is playing a lot better than, I mean, it's just unequivocal, right? You can't argue it. They're in the playoffs, like by a decent clip right now. And it's like, for some reason, people are weighting them as if they're a juggernaut. And it's like, they're good. They're a fine team. And across the board, they've been good, but their best defensive center is out. I don't know how they're going to beat the Rangers, who, again, if you would have told me at the beginning of the season that this situation was going to arise, that we were going to have these prices on these Rangers at home against Columbus, and Danil, what's his last name? Danil Tarasov in net, you would have, your pants would have just been caked, and you would just been like, well, I can't play it maybe because of the ownership. I don't think people are going to play it. Like, people are going to not play this. I'm in, obviously. I'm in. I'm going to go back to the Rangers. Well, they're going to burn me because I'm going to play Vincent Trocheck and he's going to have 4.5 again. Like, it is what it is. But yeah, it's pretty obvious that I am, like, Toronto and the Rangers are two teams I like. And maybe I'm stuck in the mud a little bit, but I don't really care. Like, this is a good spot.
The Rangers are minus 200 and have a 3.9 team total. So I do not think that, like, ownership will be like ownership will come. It's a large slate, though, so like it's probably not going to be monstrous, but we'll see. I guess.
Oh, sorry.
I was looking through some of the shot stuff. I think I actually like Spinach there too. Plus money for three shots. It doesn't make me feel great, but if I had to pick one, I think I'm going there. I've been burned a few more times than I would like to admit by Adam Fox not getting shots on goal. So, like, I don't know if I can do that here.
I was looking at him for a point. It just feels like it's gonna happen, but they just moved the price quite a bit to minus 150, and now it's like not. I mean, like the past few games, it's been like minus 105, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
For points, I want to go back to Trocheck is the problem, but I actually feel like my mental health is worthy of not clicking that button.
That makes sense.
At minus 182, I just just don't think there's anything in this game that actually, from the betting perspective, is a smash. So I can just move on. I'm not putting this in my parlays.
Pittsburgh, Washington. Chris Letang missed last night's game for Pittsburgh. Fortunately for Washington, they do not have to deal with the offensive dynamo in Alex Nedeljkovic. Goal, assist, just incredible. The Sabres continue setting records.
They're fun.
But Malkin back, he was centering Beauvillier, Bunting, Rust, Crosby, Raquel, of course. Erik Karlsson on that second power play with Malkin is kind of interesting, but on a slate this large, I don't really care. Again, the matchup looks fine for Pittsburgh, but it's a back-to-back. It's not a great goal setting either. So, like, I'm just not I'm not overly excited about this game. So anything on either side?
I'm just not. I mean, I'm just not playing the Penguins on a back-to-back against Washington, and part of me, the largest of parts of me wants to bet against Logan Thompson as much as I can, as soon as I can, because he's just not going to keep getting away with this forever. And what was he owned again? You said in the qualifier,
he was 50% of the 1550 field had Logan Thompson get the overtime shutout victory.
That was how many game slate? That was a bigger slate, right? It was like,
wasn't it 13? Was it 13 on Thursday?
I think it was a 13 game slate.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that is unbelievable. I mean, you're talking about, I don't think I've ever seen anything like, and again, like he's going to, I almost can guarantee it, if not the highest, one of the highest own goalies. I don't know his price off the top of my head. 8,200 actually. I can see it right in front of my eyes. People are going to click the button. Like they're just going to ride the hot hand and say, I can make a lineup and make it work. Nah, I'm good. He gives up 2 goals and he's not getting there at all because they limit shot volume enough. So yeah, just screw this game from DFS. I don't see anything on the betting market that I'm losing my mind over either, but what do you got?
2 coin flip bets that I want to run by you. Plus 100. Would you rather have Evgeny Malkin to get 2 shots or Jake Chikrin to get 3 shots?
I mean, it's Chikrin. I did want to check because he missed practice, but they said he took the option, I think. So I think he's legitimately nothing, but I was going to peek at that before I did anything. Okay. It's sad to say that I think I just don't even want to play the Malkin game.
No, I understand that. It's just very interesting because like they don't tend to move lines so aggressively, and they've really tanked his stuff, and he's deserved it. Trust me, like I understand that.
7 attempts per game for Chikrin over the last 10. Malkin, I mean, he hasn't played a ton. He only has 6 games in the last 10, 3.17 attempts, 20% of those on net. So like nothing is getting to the net and the volume really isn't even there to support thinking about it too much. Like, but at some, if we see any semblance of life from him, I think it's just like immediately go to the, run to the bank and grab it because, I just got to see at least a little something before I put the money I work for on Evgeny Malkin in the year of our Lord 2025. Okay. But I don't mind Chikrin. I honestly, I don't mind him for a point either at plus 105. Like he's pretty involved. I mean, Carlson plus 110, like those defensemen are pretty good.
Yep.
But they do kind of just roll all 3 units of defense because they have 3 units of defense that can play. I think that's the thing that everybody in the world forgot about is that Paravari's always been good. Carlson's obviously good. Chikrin's good. Like it wasn't the problem. The contract was the problem. And then, TVR can definitely hang as a defender. And then Matt Waugh they pick up and he's a good defender. Like that Logan Thompson is a good goalie, but he's being lifted by just how good defensively this team really is structured. And I just have no interest in betting against them right now. I continue to because the numbers look good because the game scripts have been good. And it just doesn't matter. Like you're just going to be wrong. We can move on to a Canada Classic if you're ready.
Yes, Calgary heads into Winnipeg after spending a nice long week in St. Louis, eating bagels. I certainly hope. The Calgary side of things, of course, is not going to garner much interest from either of us, I imagine. The usual suspect, Matt Coronado, continues to generate expected fantasy points, but because he plays on the Calgary Flames, there is a market discount in converting those into actual fantasy points. So, take that for what you will. The full line, Coronado, Backlund, Coleman, 12.1K. It's interesting. I certainly
it's there.
Won't say no.
It's always there.
But I think the main interest here will, of course, be on the Winnipeg side. So, DJ, thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot. I definitely am not looking at the Flames with a big, I can't wait to bet on these guys. Like I love Coronado. I love everything he does. I think you could still click on him for shots. I was just actually looking if it's come down in price at all. I mean, plus 120 for 3 isn't terrible. 126 actually. Coleman plus 135, Backlund plus 140. Like one of these guys getting 3 shots is not out of the realm possibility. It's just like is one of them going to hoover up the majority of shots? All of them shoot, and all of them have a it's not like one of them is clearly going to be the passer. They all shoot. So probably for your mental health, don't even click it. Winnipeg is really good. Sandberg is back, I believe, right? Sandberg, yeah.
Yes.
So they have like 2
back.
legitimate.
Colin Miller could be back.
They have 2 legitimate top pairs, and then a pair that can play. I mean, I would look at Coronado as the only thing I actually have like tentative interest in, and tentative is strong. Right. I mean, and Rasmus Anderson over 1.5 minus 140 isn't. I wouldn't cry if you click the button there.
Yeah, that's sort of like the Matheson bet for me on the Montreal
Yeah.
side. Very similar. Like, yeah, they're not getting a featured offensive role, but like they're going to be on the ice enough, and I trust.
But I mean, they truly split the power plays, and like even though his power play unit was Backlund, Coleman, Pospisil, and Corinne's last game, they actually had more power play time on ice than Huberto, Sharangovich, Coronado, Uyghur, and Kadri. Probably because who drew the penalty, but like I don't know. Like I don't think there's this like, oh, we can't bother. I mean, Anderson had 24 minutes. I think Anderson's definitely actually the bet in this game. I mean, the attempts are actually pretty good. 6.4 over the last 5. I mean, on the season, he's shooting. I don't hate the idea, but let's look at the real team here.
If you are a noted goalie carer, which we are not here at the Morning Skate Cup podcast, Eric Comrie is in that
they confirmed it. Okay.
Yeah, for Winnipeg. Ehlers, interesting. Leads the team in expected fantasy points, right up there in actual fantasy points. The stars of the show, of course, Kyle Connor, Scheifele, Velarde had the smash game on Tuesday, I think it was. But he's been there. Iafallo, Lowry, Ehlers, going to run you 11.3K against Calgary. They used Kupari, Niederreiter, Perfetti as more of the shutdown line. So like you're talking about getting the third line for Adam Lowry, which is kind of interesting. He's been a guy who always drives play. Is that a factor of Niederreiter? Maybe. But I at least like taking a shot on it because Iafallo's been productive. And then obviously Ehlers gets the power play one time as well as the 5-on-5 role that he has. So yeah, that's probably my favorite place to go. I'm not spending all my cap though on the top line. I can't find it in me to do that. So any thoughts there?
Yeah, I've been really wanting to click on Ehlers for in the gambling streets. His price continues to fall, minus 115 over 2.5, and the roll is fine, right? I mean, the roll is the roll, but what he's getting, I guess it came down a little bit against Seattle because they were holding a lead, but in games when they're not holding a lead as much, it doesn't diminish at all. They don't really play the fourth line much in any capacity. So it's like, but I don't know. I mean, what are his rates as of late? They're pretty bad. He's not really shooting. Probably just avoid it. What do we have here? I'm actually trying to find him. I can't even locate my man. Nikolai Ehlers, 5.3 attempts. I don't know. Any interest in just saying like this is a prolific rate shooter that we used to bet at 3.5 and now he's down to almost a coin flip for 2.5, or not really?
Yeah, I think that's fine. He's been very involved. He has 4 goals and 6 assists over those 10 games. So like, yeah, maybe 5 attempts isn't fantastic, but against Calgary, the pace is typically higher in games, against Calgary. So I think that is something that I would be able to get behind.
I think I like Rasmus Anderson minus 140 a little bit more, but it's those are the two. We can move on.
Let's head over to Long Island. San Jose Sharks against the Islanders. I want to check if San Jose ran a morning skate because they got absolutely waxed by the Blue Jackets, and it does not look like we see lines for the Sharks other than to confirm that Georgiev is starting. So there's that information for you. Stay tuned to lines. No idea whether this gets thrown in a blender after last game's debacle. They got absolutely outclassed by Columbus. Certainly not great from any time that happens. Top line, though, as it currently constructed, 15K. Again, this is Georgiev. That's right. 6,900 for him. Cool.
Nice.
Of course, the Islanders are going to be the people of relevance here. Note that the Islanders, after their loss to Philly, moved Horvat between Lee and Barzal, and they're playing Palmieri, Nelson, Duclair. I think the Duclair, Nelson, Palmieri line had a decent run of success at some point. Maybe I'm just thinking of Nelson, Palmieri, and gluing them together in my head. But it is at least interesting to see that Horvat gets the upgrade because he and Nelson are the same price, and Horvat's been more productive with lesser line mates. Similarly, with no Siplikov, this top 6 is truly the top 6. I mean, maybe Simone Holmstrom comes in to steal some, wing jobs, but I don't think that's happening. So honestly, either line here, top line 16.4K is going to be perfectly power play one correlated. Duclair, Nelson, Palmieri, though, is going to run you 11.8K. And I like that line just as much too if you need a bit cheaper of an option here, because of course the matchup with San Jose is stellar. So DJ, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, no, I mean it's a really good matchup, and I've been well, we both. I mean, really, we just continue to say like, yep, they're going to get there. Like the Islanders are going to get there. They kind of got there if you played it. I guess if you could see into the future and you knew that Horvat was going to move up during the game against the Flyers, because Horvat and Barzal both scored. Power play has been, I mean, they scored twice on the power play. I don't think they'd ever done that before this entire season. Like
Yeah.
it was the first time that their power play connected, and they're like, holy crap, we could do that. And they did it again. I have tentative interest in Noah Dobson in any capacity, but definitely if I'm playing the Islanders, I feel like that's a bet on Noah Dobson at 6,200. Basically unknown, but I don't think he'll have a ton of ownership. But because the Islanders could get a little chalky, it's maybe going to be at least enough. But past 10 games, 8.2 attempts per game. Wow, that's a pretty concerted effort to find a way to get him to shoot the puck. The sports books have kind of caught up to it because he's hitting, and that's going to make the sportsbook say, well, we got to stop that right now. Minus 140 for a point, though, comparatively to everybody else, is much lower. Like Barzal for 1 point is minus 255, Horvat minus 205, and tell me Noah Dobson is that much less likely to get a point. This is a guy that last year was nearly a point per game player. Like he's beginning unlucky as far as getting to the actuals, but the role is clearly there for him and defined for him to get a ton of looks. Like they have a shutdown pairing in Pelech and Pulak, and then they have Dobson, who's going to play with everybody else in offensive minutes. Romanov, like you're I think putting up there right now, should be back. So he has an actual player to play with now. I just think that minus 140 price is pretty good.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what the second power play is going to look like. With this in mind, I'm guessing that goes to Polak. 3,900 for him is relatively interesting because Stefan Rosner is projecting Chalowski to come out of the lineup. So just some secondary stacking considerations if you are going the Islanders 2 route. I think obviously if you're stacking the top line, I would much prefer Dobson to anyone else. Yeah, this is all technically unconfirmed, but pretty good authority on these lines here. So I guess picking between them is difficult. You're mentioning like most of these lines are pretty much nuked. I'm a little intrigued by just taking a multi-point game from Bo Horvat. It's plus 230. I don't know though. I think this is more of the DFS route given the prices. Comparing DK salary to DraftKings Sportsbook odds, it's just very clear that the lines here are underpriced and it's going to be owned. But the matchup with the Sharks is usually too good to pass up. So let's just keep going. I don't have a preferred bet there.
Did you have any Eklund bets to play or?
I didn't. I'm a little worried that the lines change. So we'll see at like 6:30 if I get there. Yeah. But it looks like, oh no, that's points. Let's see, what is it? Minus 125 for 1.5. So like if he's in the top 6 still, I will definitely be firing, but not like there's certainly a world where he is playing on the third line next to Luke Cunnin, and you're just like, why did I do that?
I think you got to wait on him. I totally agree. We just don't know right now. If we get confirmation that he's on the top line, we'll take another gander. But okay, let's move on to other games. You have Vegas up now. Vegas is a team that I kind of circled last slate as like, they're back to full health. I don't think I'm playing them in the slate, and I'm trying to remember who they played. They definitely failed pretty miserably against
Carolina. Right?
Carolina. Oh my God, they literally played yesterday.
Yeah,
I meant the game before that, but against Carolina, they also didn't really get there. But the top power play was really what I wanted to focus on. At full health, they were at Eichel, Dorofeyev, Theodore, Hurdle, and Stone. So Dorofeyev, second line top power play, with two guys that are good NHL players. I'm looking at it. I'm taking a good look at him for shooting, for points, against a Blackhawks team, I'm brave and bold. I think the Blackhawks stink. Don't tell anyone I said
Boy.
that.
I will need to keep that under wraps, but yeah, that is a bold stance from you. Yeah, you're looking at the full healthy Vegas Golden Knights. They lost, so we could see a blender. But yeah, I don't know. Dorofeev is a little bit like the only thing that concerns me is that Victor Olofsson is going to just shoot and like kind of dead in plays. Like he's not going to be setting up Dorofeev in the way that William Karlsson would, for example. There, I'm not sure what other option they have. I mean, it's not like they're gifted with playmakers down the lineup. Maybe Alex Holtz draws back in, and that could be a natural position for him. But even then, he's also a shot first player. So like, unless you're playing with Eichel, I don't think there's like a huge boost for Dorofeev. Unless you're talking just strictly like upside. Like I think his upside, of course, on the power play one is pretty substantial. I'm a little bit struggling with playing a back-to-back Vegas team heading into Chicago. Like the matchup looks great, don't get me wrong, but I'm looking at the top line in Chicago just going like great googly moogly. Like, I mean,
What'd you call
13.6K. Frank Nazar looked incredible against Nashville. Against Nashville. That's not Vegas, but he looked really good. And then Bedard played 25 minutes. Bertuzzi is 4K. He's like, even money for 2 shots, playing 18 minutes in power play one. Like, I get it. It's gross, but against a back-to-back team, Sorensen has either leaned on Bedard enough where his production has gotten there or changed something tactically or Bedard is actually producing. So like I'm the idiot that's looking at all these good players on Vegas and looking at Chicago and going, those are my guys. But again, Frank Nazar, near the dead minimum, looked really good against Nashville. I like taking a stab at that line just because of what I believe Connor Bedard is as a player. I think I would just go Bedard plus 120, 3+ shots.
Yeah.
But you could convince me that Bertuzzi's the better option at minus 115 for 2. Let's see if that's a better. Yeah, still minus 115 for 2, which no matter what you do, because if you ladder that up, you get to 4 shots for Bertuzzi, giving 8-1. Like, Bedard is a playmaker too. So, like, and these are profiles as a playmaker. So, like, I think Bertuzzi's where I want to go. It's sort of betting on this game.
I mean, I think I'm gonna fade it from like parlaying stuff. I think there's like you're saying, there's a couple good in general lines to look at as far as like the betting is concerned. What word am I looking for? As a total, I don't even know. I'm looking for a word that it's not coming to me. Like as its own entity, right? Like there's good lines to bet. But I think adding the variance that could exist in this game into the mix where Vegas is just so much better. So the lines seem to know that, but are they overweighting it? I think, yes, that's the answer. But if, Chicago gets up early and it's freaking some idiot that gets him up early, all of a sudden, you're just, I think you're in a rough spot. Just looking at, Bedard not favored on puck luck to get over 2.5. He's plus 146 right now. Not really shooting. Bertuzzi, you said was what again?
Minus 115 for 2.
For 115. Yeah, 165 for 2. So I think that's better for sure.
Yeah,
honestly, I think I'd go. Doesn't take much. He definitely shoots from in tight, so it's not like he needs to have a absorbent amount of attempts. He could do 2 attempts, 2 on net. Like that's.
Trust me, we are operating solely. Yep, we're operating solely on faith here. The nothing in the matchup looks very solid, even from a shot rate perspective. Chicago's been the worst team on the season, I think, even, but over the last 10-2 as far as just getting volume at 5-on-5. But I watched a lot of that Nashville game, and I just saw something from Bedard, Nazar, and Bertuzzi that I actually liked. And again, Bedard played 25 minutes. I don't think any sportsbook is taking that possibility into account. And so I'm just going to ride it because he has been very good under this coach. Like I understand he's not shooting a ton. And I don't have the direct splits in front of me, but he's pretty much on like a 90-point pace under this coach without any sort of blinking red sirens that are going like, yeah, this is unsustainable. So yeah, that's sort of what I'm banking on here, not like a based in numbers theory. So let's keep going though. Stay tuned if anything weird happens in Vegas and warm-ups, because you will get some value if someone slides into the top 6 who shouldn't be there. But let's go to Minnesota and Nashville. Who requested this? I think it was Tom. Yep, it was Tom. We've got Islanders chalk. We've got Minnesota and Nashville. What a night. What a night, everyone. Slate of the year. However, welcome back to my lineups. Liam Ogren called up. Looks like he's going to play alongside Joel Eriksson-Ek. Long-time listeners of the show will know that this is the exact Adam Beckman theory, just playing out yet again, here to take all of my money. Liam Ogren is an absolutely phenomenal offensive prospect, in my opinion. He's 100th on Corey Promen's top 150 players in or outside of the NHL as far as like their future potential. So like he has some pedigree, but not like he's not a Connor Bedard level prospect. But I love his profile overseas. He shot a ton. He generated points at an obnoxious clip. So I'm first starting there. I don't think I'm going to be able to bet anything to do with Liam Ogren. Hold on. DJ, are you looking at the book?
I'm looking at FanDuel right now. Why?
Okay. Can you tell me what the money line is for this game? Minnesota at Nashville, without looking. Did you already see it?
I did.
Okay. Well,
at least on the
192 favorite.
Yeah, same on yeah, same over on the other one.
Okay, well, all right.
Okay, Liam Ogren is offered for a goal on FanDuel.
That's good. What are those odds?
You want to take a guess or?
Plus 750.
It is 650.
Okay, it's 500 on DK.
Okay. Yeah, I might. I just bet everything I still had in my. I had like $200 in my balance, and I put all of it on all the shots for shots and goal for Colton, and I put something on Mitchkov. So I need a deposit, and it's saying that I need to update information, of course. So
okay, so you will not be betting on.
So I don't think I'll end up betting it. Yeah, I
honestly don't think. I don't think plus 650 is like a can't miss bet or anything, but it is a player that I do want to bet on in the long run. But we just got to see him get that role before he becomes like a true good bet, I think.
Yeah, and again, keeping money in FanDuel is this exact problem personified of just like you might just never get it again. So like I don't keep a lot of money there, so I normally just try to like take it out and move it through Venmo, and now it's like sorry, no, you can't. I'm like, this is why I don't do that. Like, thank you for reminding me. Like,
Ryan Hartman revenge game. He is shooting. He's got Eriksson-Ek and Ogren plus 155 for over 2.5. I'm intrigued.
Oh yeah, but it's a really tough matchup.
Oh yeah, that is true. They are significant underdogs here. So
we have the books are telling us it's a real bad matchup. So
yeah, watch out, everyone.
I mean, let's be entirely.
By the way, do we have Brock Faber news? Because that actually does matter too.
He's in.
Okay,
Faber's in. Brodin is out.
Here we go. Minnesota moneyline bet is.
I just retweeted the stuff, and it is Fleury and net. Okay. Walco also returns to the lineup. I'm not sure if that moves the needle for you, but Jacob Walco returns to the lineup as well.
Not quite as much, believe it or not, but a little bit. It's good.
Yep, Gustafsson is sick, so it'll be Fleury. But I think it was planned that way anyways.
Yes, they had planned that.
We're getting asked about jamming Brock Faber at no, but you could conceivably click the button, but I'm not.
Yeah, I would assume Chisholm keeps the power play 1 job. They scored twice in the power play 1 last game, so like there's absolutely no reason to play Brock Faber. Otherwise, let's get over to Nashville.
Yeah. I mean, Nashville is interesting. I mean, that we're saying Faber's back, and obviously that helps, but Brodin is the best defender on the team by far, and they're going to add 2 guys they'll have one, what's his name? David Juracek will be in. It's like they're going to have to play favor a metric ton, and I think Nashville is interesting here, and the sports books are not that stupid. So, how would you attack it if you were going to follow the sports books guidance?
I mean, that is a very good question. I personally believe I'm smarter than every sports book to ever exist, so I will just be ignoring Nashville.
Sure.
20 to 30 minutes, I'd say it's a good play. I mean, that is quite the range there.
I would, if you could bet him over 20 minutes, I'd say probably, yeah. I don't think he's coming back in and going to play 18 minutes. So
I'm guessing
I mean,
sure 29, but just
I guess
like
they're like 25 or something. But yeah, I mean, it's
like
March or so. All right, this is. I don't. I recall. Oh, sorry.
I think Philip Forsberg is a good play because you might get between 1 and 6 shots on goal tonight.
He's going to be around there.
Yeah,
he's going to be around there.
All right.
Marchessault is the one that's shooting the most right now, though. I mean, Marchessault is good. He's a good player that's shooting the puck. He's minus 145 for 3 shots. Roman Josi is minus 150. He's also shooting a lot, but I just feel like he's up. I mean, he's a defender. Like, it's just much less likely to get on net. I like Marchessault if you're going the other way. I think he's the guy that, like, if you're playing Nashville in any capacity, like, I would just put him in. Like, 6,100 is too cheap for his production. So if you're playing Forsberg and like I'm clicking on Marchessault. I'm including him in the mix here.
Okay.
I'm not going to do it, but I'm just saying if I were to.
Top line is going to run you 19K for DFS purposes. I totally understand the betting perspective too on Marchessault. I guess I'm just a Minnesota respecter here. So,
well, what would you rather do for Marchessault? Minus, like I said, what would I say? Minus 145 for 3 shots. For a point, he is minus 165.
I guess I'd rather do 3 shots.
Okay. And I will be taking that many shots if he misses. Thank you. Now,
okay. Good to hear. Let's head over to St. Louis and Utah. The matchup here, St. Louis looking decent. Utah not looking terrible either. We have a lot of red on the slate, so they're sort of right in the middle. Is actually okay for this slate. Has the highest expected goal pace on the night slate or on the main slate, which is astonishing. Also, the highest goal pace based on 10-game trends at 5-on-5. St. Louis looking quite good in that measure, though, versus it being shared between them and Utah. St. Louis continues their absolute scorcher. They swept a double, I guess, a home and again at home with Calgary this week. So they are actually right on the periphery of the playoffs, with Vancouver also just deciding to take off for the rest of the year. So that is interesting. Also interesting, the top line, just doing top line things. Holloway, Shen, Kyrou just nuked Calgary. Do they put up the same performance going into Utah? Yeah, probably not, but it's at least in the realm of possibility. Elsewhere, we have Fowler and Parayko just looking like replicas of one another, which, gotta say, didn't see that coming. But, shout out to, I guess, Cam Fowler sustaining his output. I don't know. Parayko, though, is shooting a bit more, so both of them are quite expensive and not correlated with the guys you want, but at least Parayko is, big, and you could see him scoring goals more likely than Fowler, in my opinion. So thoughts on this game?
Well, I mean, yeah, I yawned, but this game really isn't a yawn. I think it's interesting for sure. Like, it's got some level of pace that's continued for. I've been targeting Utah. I guess that's the way I'm going to put it. Like, I've been continuously kind of going to that well, and it's been hit or miss on the reward. But I think you could convince me to play the Holloway line again.
The shot props for Kyrou and Holloway got weaker, right? Than what they have been?
Yeah, they both missed last game because they were like crushing, and then they never. Oh, Kyrou got there. You're right. I won money. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah. I'm interested. From a betting perspective, yes. It's Kyrou. That's easy. I'm actually going to do that right now. Minus 125. Let me just double check the other line.
Holloway is plus 145. Like he's been like plus 110, and we've been like giga jamming it. So yeah, I mean, I guess he missed last game and whatever, but this
Super
matchup,
giga jamming it now.
I think so. I think that's what I'm doing. Did not see that
Yeah.
coming though.
Last 4 attempts per game, but like again, that now they've really reduced the price and like what has really changed here. You know, has the role changed? Is no, nothing's really changed. It's just a dip in production that could very, very quickly come right back. Yeah, this is when you jump on it. I think you're being the alpha. I'm being the beta. I'm like Jordan Kyrou though, and it's like no, be a man.
I
Grow
bet
up.
both. I bet both.
You're allowed to. Actually, no one can legally stop you from doing that anymore. They used to be able to, but now they can't. Kyrou had exactly 3 attempts last game. Holloway had exactly 4 attempts last game. Kyrou got all of them on net, and Holloway got 1. So, but the problem was the game script kind of got away from that line seeing as much time. This is
and Braden Shen scored all the goals.
And Braden, and honestly, that's exactly what happened. They were just passing it to Shen for the hat trick.
Yeah.
They stopped shooting. Have you watched the game? The only reason Kyrou got there is because the defenseman almost fell and he had a breakaway on the power play. Yeah, both of them are great. Both of them are really good. What is what's his name for 2? Holloway for 2 is 215. Mine is 215. These numbers don't number that well. All right, what about the other side though?
The other side, Nick here, Clayton Keller usually owns St. Louis. Well, look who's
from
owed
St. Louis.
Look at a healthy dose of regression inbound for Mr. Clayton Keller. 12.6 expected fantasy points over the last 10 games with only 8.9 to show for it. Some of that, of course, has looked like it's gone to Logan Cooley, who's at 8.8 expected and 10.1 actual. But in general, you would expect Clayton Keller to be getting better results than he has had in the past handful of games. That full line, power play 1 correlated, is going to cost you 16.5K. Pretty interesting there, too, if you're betting on this game being sort of game stackable. I think Keller's shots is interesting. It's even money for over 3. That's also a very doable proposition, I think. But yeah, any other thoughts on Utah?
No, I mean Logan Cooley's been really good. He is continuing to just lead them in minutes for forwards by not a ton, but comparatively to everyone not on his line, he's doing everything. They're playing him in all situations, all roles. He has a lot more upside than I think meets the eye, and the fact that he's also plus 135 for 2.5 shots on goal is at least something to take a look at, just because of how many minutes he's getting. It's not really the profile. He kind of profiled to be more of a pass first guy, but he had 3 shots on the power play last game. 1 that was a goal, 1 that was on net, 1 that missed, and then an additional 5-on-5 shot in a game that they lost to the Rangers. So I don't know. I'm pretty tentatively interested in general. 5.4 attempts per game, 44% of those getting on net. Like, he's a similar bet in my opinion to Holloway. Just the profiles are a little different, but like it's pretty undeniable the size of the role he's getting. So, yeah, I think that's interesting. I still think that defensively, you're kind of betting into a tougher matchup for Cooley than you are for Holloway. And again, like I'm saying, I kind of feel like the same bet to me, more or less. So, I like Holloway. I like Kyrou just a touch more.
Nick wants to look at some St. Louis splits here. So let's see. Clayton Keller against the St. Louis Blues in 29 games has 11 goals, 19 assists, and 30 shots, 62 shots over that span. So yeah, over a point per game for Clayton Keller against the St. Louis Blues. The obvious narrative being from Chesterfield, Missouri. So like, there you go. That is your narrative play of the day from Nick Meyer in the YouTube chat. I like him in
St. Louis though, so it's not.
But it's about the laundry, DJ.
You're right. It's about the laundry. My bad. I forgot about the laundry narrative.
All right.
Idiot.
The final note: Josh Stone is finally listed for props. He's not been crazy. Like, I don't think this is like a super smash, but over 1.5 minus 120. Given the power play job that he seems like he still has, basically replacing Dylan Gunther. It's pretty good. A limited sample in the NHL, but a little bit better than league average shot rate. So that role plus that sort of production, you're getting 3+ shots at plus 260. I like that. And I'll ladder that up to 5 where it's 12-1. Just, power play fast. I bet that would be very good for Josh Doan. And if we're betting on this game environment, why not add a Schmeckel on Doan? So let's get to the final 2 games before we head on out of here. Edmonton, Vancouver. Edmonton looking like world beaters right now. We talked about how they went into Colorado and got McKinnon for a few shifts and then just turned on the Jets. They look scary. Do we have confirmed line combinations from them? Because of course that's always the fly in the ointment, whether Draisaitl is on his own or with McDavid.
Yeah, I mean they went to Draisaitl, McDavid, Hyman, and that worked pretty good. So yeah, I mean I guess it'd be kind of surprising if they changed it. I guess I didn't. Let me check. We'd probably be getting lines around now. I don't see anything. I'm still scrolling back. Nope. I don't think there's anything here still. I've gone back like a full day. So
yeah. So this is all projected, but whatever. Draisaitl, McDavid, Hyman played together last game, 24.8K in total, a monstrous 40 expected fantasy points per game when you sum across the 3 of them, and 38 actuals when you sum across the 3 of them. Pretty solid. Podkolzin and Arvidsson still remain decent values. I'm not really sure why their prices haven't gone up with the production they've shown, but whatever. If you want to pay set less than 7K for 2 perfectly serviceable depth wingers, go right on ahead. They could very well play with Draisaitl instead of RNH here. And Evan Bouchard had a really good performance. He's had a couple really good performances mixed in between a lot of subpar ones. So maybe not the safest guy to bet on, but at least a guy worth mentioning. Do you have a preferred bet from this game?
I mean, again, it's kind of one of those situations where I gotta see it first. But Hyman, Draisaitl, McDavid all played 24 minutes together. They did get quite a lot of power play time against Colorado because Colorado took a lot of penalties because they were getting their doors completely blown off. But Hyman minus 165, Bouchard minus 165 for a point is at least semi-interesting. I'm not sure if I want to go all the way there. Both of them are shooting a lot too, and they're both Bouchard minus 110 for 3 shots is I don't know. I don't know if there's nothing, this is an obvious giga jam, gotta play this right here, but I'm interested. I am interested in Edmonton. Vancouver feels sort of like a mess, but I do think that they're better defensively than meets the eye. So I'm not positive. Did any of that sound good to you or not really?
Sure.
Shots actually.
Yeah.
Draisaitl minus 140 for shots.
Yeah. I'm okay with that. I'm honestly a little bit more interested in figuring out this Vancouver side. They practiced, so I think what we have here is what we get. Power plays are not certain, but go ahead.
There is a goal boost today. Draisaitl plus 120 could be.
That would make sense.
That could be the one to click on. I like some level of confirmation he's with McDavid, but that's what I'm looking at right now. For the
I don't need it. I do not need that. Arvidsson and Podkolzin were really good for him too. So I don't know. I don't really think I care that much. I think you're getting it in good either way. All right.
I don't think there's a bet that I'm that this is the bet I'm. Yeah. Go on.
Vancouver, Lekaramaki, Pettersson, DeBrusk, DiGiuseppe, Miller, Besser, Suter, Heinen, Garland, Höglander, Bluger, Sherwood. Everything is very spread out across here. JT Miller's been very poor, but his underlyings look decent, and that's been very confusing to me. For example, JT Miller is a 1.5 shot prop line. And now, honestly, Pettersson, Besser, DeBrusk, and Garland are too. So whatever. But at least you can look at it and be those guys have been awful. They've been getting, they've been getting no actual fantasy points, no expected fantasy points. What are you betting on there? And then you look at Miller and it's like, oh, well, he's actually been kind of doing stuff. And so he's just priced in that same range where you're getting, 1.5 as like the base odds for him. So I think that is what I like the most here. Like I feel the most confident that JT Miller is going to have the puck on his stick. And anytime a guy's at a 1.5, like, yeah, you don't need to be quite you don't need to be an Ovechkin shot first player to get 2 shots. So like if you have the puck on your stick and you at least shoot sometimes, I'm in. So JT Miller, I think, is actually my favorite bet. Though the goal boost you mentioned of Draisaitl, I like a whole heck of a lot too. All right.
Yeah, that's gonna almost definitely be my bet in this game. So yeah, we can move on to the final. The final. Although Bouchard 9.2 attempts per game over the last 5, and he's a coin flip for 3 is. I'm not going to.
2 of those games, I think.
I would not call you stupid.
Yeah, it's more of like the upside thing.
102 attempts.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I agree. Draisaitl, holy crap. Let's please. I'm going to start talking again, and this game is just whatever. Let's get to the final game. I got to go to the grocery store.
Yes, we got to get out of here. LA, Seattle. LA looks far better than Seattle, of course. Not really a ton to say about Seattle except they're at home. So on the LA side of things, I think Laferriere will remain out. Not confident in that though. They should go 11-7, so one of these forwards will again be a scratch, and they will have a 7th defenseman in. Just typical LA Kings stuff at this point. Fiala has been very involved offensively, not getting quite the same output though that Kempe has. So if we're talking about very similar expected fantasy points but dramatically different results, I think there's at least an argument to be made for Kevin Fiala in betting things. So that's what I will be doing. DJ, thoughts on the Kings Seattle game?
I mean, this game is the lowest total on the slate, plus 114 on the over. LA minus 155 on the road. Like Fiala minus 135 for a point is what I would click. The shot volume is fine as well for him and Kempe, but really comparatively to the prices at 3 for minus 125 for Kempe and minus 120 for Fiala. I don't think I'm parlaying any of this in though. Like this game is just, it just does not invoke a lot of fun and confidence and joy. But Fiala never leaves the ice on the power play. I think that he actually has 2 line mates that are good. This line was always productive, and it's all together again. 7 attempts per game over the last 5. Kempe almost 6 over the last 5. Like either of those lines, I think you could say are fine because of the matchup. It's a good matchup. Seattle is atrocious, but I'd rather go point for Fiala over anything else here. I just don't think it's making my mix. Just out of the respect of this game, kind of could end up being a 2-1 game. No one would bat an eye at that. Decord. So the sports books, Joey Decord, not been a bad goalie, kind of kept Seattle afloat when he was healthy. What is his over-under per DraftKings Sportsbook for saves? Take a guess.
27?
23.5. Like, I think you can take the over there.
Yeah,
like,
I think that's solid.
That might be that might actually be the best bet here in general, is just to say that, like, I don't know where they're going to come from, but I do think LA could control the puck and put more shots up.
Yeah.
That's probably what I would do if I was going to do anything. Like, that's a little bit more enticing to me, or the Fiala point. And in DFS, I think Fiala's a really good one-off.
Trevor Moore is very interesting to me too, from both a DFS and betting standpoint. He's priced like a guy who's not what Trevor Moore is, which is a very much shot first player, playing with Kevin Fiala in a very attackable matchup. He is 155 on the over 1.5 shots. This is a guy who we're getting at 2.5, like even money for most of the last couple years. And the role went away for him this season, with Laferriere stepping up, with Alex Turcotte stepping up, with Trevor Moore dealing with injuries and coming back. Like, the role just wasn't there. With no Laferriere, Moore should be on the second power play. Again, he's alongside Danault and Fiala now, even in an 11-7 setup. Those are his most common line mates. And 18, 19 minutes is very much in the cards because Trevor Moore doesn't get game scripted out of games either.
So, sorry.
Yeah, I saw his goal. It was pretty nice. So Trevor Moore's a guy that
I can't get it because it's on the NHL Network. Sorry,
idiot. So I'm very I'm very interested in Trevor Moore stuff until he sort of just rounds into form again. Like this is, I think, only a handful of games, maybe 4 games since he's been back from injury, but he's coming off of an 18-minute performance last time out, and everything I just said still holds true. So I like Trevor Moore a lot here. Anything for Seattle? Or can we
I'm
wrap
watching
it
the Michkov goal. Oh, anything? No, absolutely not. No, thank you. Next.
It's over.
No, seriously, I don't have anything. I mean,
Wait,
like,
no,
2 shots for Kakko, minus 110.
Okay, literally, like the slate's now
What?
over, so we can close out. It's not next; it's just over.
Oh, well, we got to guarantee goals. Blah 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 blah.
Okay.
Actually, Kakko's not shooting at all. Don't do that.
No.
Last, guaranteed goals, favorite stacks. Let's just focus on the main slate for stacks. The early games, I'm not really that interested in. Whatever. Yeah, like I said, Toronto 2 for me. Nylander, Domi, McMahon. It's a little bit cheaper. Nice savings, and you can spend that cap on, I think, some of the Edmonton, maybe. That's kind of where my brain goes. And then the other stack was Rangers 1 for me. That's kind of my nucleus.
Okay. What was your first one there?
Toronto 2.
Okay.
Nylander, Domi, and McMahon.
I am going to side with the Islanders with Horvat and Lee Barzal. It's going to be owned, but this time I don't think I actually care. Last Thursday, I think it was, I made that my top stack, and I didn't wind up playing them because, whatever. Maybe it was Tuesday, but I was just like, you know what? I don't like it that much, but against the Sharks, I think I'm very much into that. And then I'm going to get spicy, and I'm going to go with Chicago 1. Bedard, Nazar, and Bertuzzi. I think that's just way too cheap. They have genuine upside against a Vegas team on a back-to-back. They're going to be completely unowned. So I like building around Bedard here. All right, guarantee goal. Oh,
yep. I mean, Michkov scored.
No Sergachev tonight for Utah,
Sergachev?
which actually makes things very interesting there. Kesselring, 2,900, a very, very good punt option defensively. And obviously St. Louis gets a lot better as a result.
Okay, well, you cut off my joke, but I'm going to still make it. And also, I just realized that I closed out of the DraftKings slate and it logged me out. But let me just make my joke I was going to make. Since Michkov, am I frozen? Okay. Since Michkov scored, I now have like 100 ducats back in my FanDuel account, so I don't need to deposit and figure that impossible out. So I can actually bet some of these goal scorers where they're always going to be better. But before we get our, of course, Ross Colton, 3-goal hat trick, nuke smash, win all the bets, and then all the balance goes even higher. So hold on one second. I'm stalling to reload the slate. Do you have anyone that you're ready to say?
Yep, I am going to go with Alex DeBrincat. Power play keeps clicking. 5,900.
The power. Yeah, stopping. Yeah, give me Marchessault, and that'll put me at, I think, 49. Yeah, 49. And Holloway.
Okay. I will go with Zibanejad, 4,700 there, and second line for the Rangers.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me write these down, and then oops.
Okay, Diego says moods the Forsberg guru the other night. Thanks for that, bud. Made some nice coin, not just the NBA. That's right. I'm the only one who thought Philip Forsberg was a good play. Not 40% of the field as well on Thursday night. So that is me, the true hockey knower. You're welcome, Diego.
Yeah. Say your goals one more time. It was Ranger guy. What would say it again?
Zibanejad and DeBrincat.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I just couldn't remember which Ranger you said, and I think it's because when I hear Zibanejad and I realize I'm gonna have to bet on him, my brain just turns off for a second. I go, I said I'd never do that, but alas, Matt forces the hand. No, this was really fun. I'm glad we did this. Next Saturday, I will be ice fishing, not by my own. I've never ice fished before. I'm much more of a drink on the boat than a fish guy. I have, we both have a friend that's like to the level of fishing that people pay him money to take them out to go to fish places. Like truly one of the greatest, he's an unbelievable. And like, I've gone with him and he's catching, these fly fish and salmon or whatever. And I'm just sort of like, oh, this beer is not bad. I catch nothing. I'm impatient. So I will be gone next weekend. I'm going to try to get up on Saturday and post what I can, but I'll be pretty out of it. I'm assuming I'll have Wi-Fi where I'm at, but I'll be kind of on the water with my family, the pops and the uncles and hanging out. So yeah, good to do it this week.
All right.
Just wanted to say shot. I don't know, Matt.
That'll do it. Yeah, I'm going to nail that goal tonight, I think. All right. So thank you all for hanging out with us.
If he gets 0 shots, I'm going
to. Oh, boy. Yeah.
If he gets 7.
Yeah, 7 was the more likely one. But best of luck on Saturday. Note that the early slate starts at 3 p.m. So, only an hour or so till that starts. But hockey all day. Enjoy it. We will talk to you all soon. So from Doug, from DJ, from myself, thank you all for tuning in. We will see you.